Hello everyone, and welcome to the second video for the Power Rangers Supercharged Megazord transformation sequence. Today I'm going to be presenting you Battle Armor mode, and this is going to feature Black Diesel 6. Now, before we get into the transformation, there was something that I left out in the last video on purpose actually, and that is the Power Sword. So, as you can see, nothing too special about this. Has a gear here as the hilt. And then you'll have this piece right here that is going to be what goes into the hand of the Megazord. So to show you how that works, let me pull it up for you. And those wheels make it so easy to just move back and forth, which is nice. So we're going to go ahead and take Wind Power 5, or Pink Wind Power 5, excuse me. Going to open up the fingers, bring up the thumb, so that way it holds the sword properly. And then you can see this stud right here. That's where this piece is going to be connecting. So you just line it all up, close the fingers, and boom, it has the sword. Now, the reason I left it out on purpose in the last video is because I want you to keep those studs in mind specifically for the transformation. So we're going to put the sword to the side, going to bring back down the arm here. And now we're going to move on to Black Diesel 6. As you can see, it is a flatbed rig. Let me go ahead and just push back the Megazord real quick. As you can see, it's a flatbed wrecker. And this is meant to be a carrier, but it's only able to carry one Zord at a time. I just don't have the pieces necessary in order to make something that big to carry all 5 or however many I got, but I actually still like how this turned out, and I prefer it to be this small. So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started with the transformation. So we're going to go ahead and start from the back, and as you can tell, this is going to be the ramp that comes down. They come up here, but when it comes off, you'll take the hinges, swivel them like this, and then this piece here in the back, swing down, and then this piece right here is going to go into the stud of the other hand, so that way it acts like the shield. That's why I wanted to keep that in mind, the studs, because that's where it's going to be going. Each hand has those studs specifically so it can hold the sword and shield at the same time. So next thing we're going to do is separate the back half of the flatbed specifically. And then we're going to take this rear axle, separate it, put that to the side for right now. And then this part here, split it in two with these parts that we have here in the middle. And with the parts that are sticking out specifically, it's going to go here on both of the knees of Yellow Electric 4, connecting on these studs down here. So we're just going to line everything up so it doesn't necessarily disturb the knees at the joints on both sides. Perfect. And then right here are the parts where you can see that it would have connected to the other half of the flatbed. And that being said, we're going to go ahead and separate that now. And then these two parts are going to go on the back of the Megazord. So we're going to go ahead and spin this around. Put Black Diesel to the side for right now and bring this to the center. So what we're going to do with these is going to take this and flip it 180. And then this piece here, we're going to flip it up. So that way it's sticking out like this. This part is going to connect to the very top ends of the back of the knee specifically, and then this right here is going to connect towards the bottom. So you want to have them perfectly lined up. And it's not the easiest thing to do, but it's a very secure connection once you do have it. So now we're going to do the same thing with this one. 180 flip, flip the slope, and then connect it. And it's better to connect at the top first than at the bottom. So that way, you're not trying to do too much hassling here in the back. Bringing this back into play, now we're going to take the wheelbase here, separate it from the base of the cabin, and put that to the side. Next thing we're going to do is take these and specifically separate them here in the middle so that this gray piece is sticking to this side. So it's going to be like this when it separates. Now where these are going to go, these same parts that we're connecting the gray pieces that we use in the front of the legs is where we're going to be connecting these. So we're going to take this part and focusing on these two studs right here, we're going to put them on the outside of this part. So that way we have a firm connection. And then we're going to do the same thing, focusing on these two studs on this side. And of course, trying to aim is pretty difficult, but manageable. There we go. So now let's go ahead and bring this back a little bit so it's closer, because now we're going to move towards more of the front. So next thing we're going to do is take our cabin here, and then we're going to let fall out what is going to be the helmet. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's go ahead and take the cabin, take the front part of the faceplate, and make this our chest armor. So the same way that this connects here at the base on these studs, we're going to be connecting them to these studs here on red gasoline 1. And we're going to make it so that the top of the faceplate almost exactly lines up with the top here of the chest. So it connects like so. Then we're going to take the sides of the cabin and separate them from the base. Put this part to the side. And in the same way that they connect with these parts sticking out here to the base, we're going to be using these to connect at the highest point of the elbows on each arm, with the glass piece specifically facing down. There you go. Same thing on this side. They're just tall enough to get over the top of each of the arms. So now we're going to swing this thing right back to the back. Going to take the engine from red gasoline 1 and bring it up so that it's held up that way. We're going to take the base, and this part here in the front is going to connect here so that way it's perfectly lined up so that it stays on top of green ethanol 1 down here. Next, we're going to take this rear axle that we've been holding on to this whole time, and we're going to connect it to the front here so that when you bring it back down, two of the studs are still going to be sticking out. So that way everything can close properly. And then finally, the coup de grace here. We're going to take the head, spin it around. You'll see that there's a connection part here. That's where these studs are going to go. So just lift it up like this. Connect it like that. And then, for dramatic effect, boom. Brings down the helmets. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is battle armor mode. So let's go ahead and bring this up a little higher, just so that way you can see this thing more face to face. And then, best part about everything, we're going to go ahead and bring up the arms. Open up the hands. And then put in Pink Wind Power 5 the sword. And in Blue Hydrogen 2 the shield. So we're going to go ahead and connect that just like that. Push it back a little bit. And there you have it. That is the Power Rangers Megazord Battle Armor mode. Tell me what you think, and next week we'll have the final addition to everything. But in the meantime, may the power be with you, all of you Power Ranger fans.